What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about Terry Fox. From what I understand, Terry Fox is a famous Canadian, a Canadian hero to many people. And I have to admit, I don't know anything about him. In America, as an American, Terry Fox is really not a figure that we're taught about or that I had heard about until I started watching more Canadian YouTube videos, to be honest. Then this name kept popping up. I saw that he has a prosthetic leg, and a lot of people look up to him, and he has an amazing story. And for a while now, I've wanted to react and watch some kind of video about him and his life to learn. So I found this YouTube video. It's called Terry Fox, Anything's Possible. And yeah, I just feel like this is overdue. Apparently he's a very important, very influential figure in Canadian history who a lot of people look up to. So, what better can you have than that? That sounds good to me. So let's check it out.
When Terry Fox was 18 years old, doctors discovered cancer in his right leg. It would change his life and change Canada forever.
And one morning I woke up and I couldn't get out of bed. That day they told me I had a malignant tumor and that I had to have my leg amputated in 4 days.
What? Wow, okay. 18 years old, by the way. Gosh, not that there's any age that's like acceptable or good to have something like this happen, but 18, man. You think you're an adult, but you really are still a kid. And he woke up and they said they had to amputate it within 4 days. Can't imagine.
I decided after my year and a half of chemotherapy that I'd try and run across Canada and raise as much money as I could.
When he first started the run across...
What? Okay. This is a lot of info. For me at least. So he's doing chemotherapy after having his leg amputated.
In 4 days. And I decided after my year and a half of chemotherapy that I'd try and run across Canada and raise...
Try to run across Canada?
As much money as I could.
And raise money for cancer? On his prosthetic leg was... Gosh. I mean... I don't know offhand how wide Canada is, but running across Canada is a superhuman feat. He's doing it with a prosthetic leg. I'm starting to see why a lot of people look up to this guy. How long is Canada? Well, tell me. From north to south, from east to west, 4,700 miles, 7,500 kilometers. Nearly 5,000 miles. Unbelievable.
First started the run across Canada at the age of 21, almost no one noticed. He ran alone, 42 kilometers a day, a full marathon on one leg, every day of the week.
What?
He endured every type of weather in Newfoundland.
Stop. What? I don't want to keep pausing this too much. We're never going to get through the documentary, but what? How was he a runner when he had his diagnosis? Is that why the emphasis on being able to run across Canada? I just am having trouble wrapping my head around that he ran a marathon every day. Or I don't know what kind of prosthetic technology they had. I think this is the 1980s. But I have to say, the way he's forced to run or jog with that full prosthetic leg looks quite uncomfortable, to be honest. And it's not the fastest thing ever. Yet he is still running a marathon every day for multiple days in a row. Okay.
It's rain, sleet, and snow. Because he was running westward, Terry was often running directly into the wind. Terry loved the early morning, so he would often get up at 4 a.m. anyways and start running and get a few miles in, stop for breakfast, and then he would finish the rest of his miles off.
He gets up at 4 a.m. This guy is superhuman. Like, not even a joke. Like, superhuman.
His best friend, Doug Allward, trailed in a van behind him. He ran from Newfoundland towards his hometown of Vancouver, where he planned to finish the run and pour water he collected from the Atlantic into the Pacific, symbolically uniting our country.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The prosthetic that Terry had was actually a walking leg. Back in the 1980s, people didn't run on prosthetic legs.
Yeah.
Running on his prosthetic leg was incredibly painful for Terry.
Yeah. No, seriously. This, like, brings a whole new element into, like, this would be insane nowadays. This is just, like, otherworldly, beyond comprehension back in this day. Now with prosthetic legs, they have, like a bow in them. It's, like, shaped with, probably carbon fiber and special, like, springs for, like, built for running. This is just a kind of a normal walking prosthetic.
Stump would chafe and bleed.
The stump of his remaining leg would chafe and bleed. Like, I don't understand. He's not just physically strong, but he may be one of the most mentally strong people I've ever heard of.
For Terry, his stump would chafe and bleed.
I don't run a normal technique. I have to take an extra bump of my real leg in order to have time for my artificial leg to come through.
He set many goals for himself, and he had to work incredibly hard to achieve them.
When I'm running each day, I take one day at a time. When I'm running, I take 1 mile at a time, and I take one corner at a time. Every signpost, I'm looking at it and reaching out for that signpost. Every corner, I'm reaching out, and this is the type of thing I'm thinking of when I'm running.
The night...
Talk about inspirational. Just seeing an individual do this is like... it's cliche, but it really makes you believe, like, anything is possible. Anything you want to accomplish, seeing Terry do this would be living proof. This is in the past now. It still is proof, but at the time, although they said it wasn't, didn't have a lot of coverage at first, but maybe that, like, his story grew as time went on, as he ran across Canada?
Before Terry's operation, I visited Terry. It was just him and me in his hospital room, and all I could think of saying to Terry at the time was, Terry, why do you have to have cancer? Why not me? Why not somebody else? Why you? And Terry's answer immediately was, why not me, Fred? I've been told all my life I'm not the biggest, I'm not the strongest, I'm not the fastest or the smartest. This is just another challenge I have to overcome.
Terry's
It's funny how, like, completely wrong that turned out being, where Terry himself was like, well, why couldn't cancer happen to me? It can happen to anyone. Very true. Totally true. But then if he's like, I'm not special, I'm not the biggest or strongest or smartest. No, he is clearly an extraordinary individual. Almost, obviously it's horrible that he got cancer, but somehow in a way, having cancer and having this horrific thing happen to him opened up this other whole part of his life where he got to then touch the hearts of, I imagine by the end of this, Canada. He's already touched my heart a bit. So it's funny how that stuff goes, huh?
Determination began to pay off. People began to take notice. When running through a town of 10,000 people, he raised $10,000, $1 for every person. He changed his goal of raising $1 million for cancer research to $24 million, $1 for every Canadian.
Oh,
So when Terry was in hospital, one of the nurses thought that it would be better for him to be placed in the children's ward. He was surrounded by kids who were suffering from cancer as well. Those are the faces that he never forgot.
I'm crying now because there's somebody here right now who is going through the same thing that I went through. Exact same thing, and he's only 10 years old. And I had the most inspirational day of my life today.
At the time,
he, again, like, showing what a special individual he is suffering from an ailment himself. Horrific ailment. The first thing that pops into his mind is, oh, today I saw a young child suffering with this, and that hurt me. And it's like total selflessness.
Time of Terry's diagnosis, his chance of survival was around 50%. Had Terry been diagnosed a few short years earlier, he would have been faced with a 30 or 35% chance of survival. It was right there that Terry learned the importance of cancer research and raising money to find a cure for cancer.
Yeah. 30% is still, like, very sad. Amputating his leg? Did that not accomplish enough? Then he went through radiation therapy. Even after all that, is there still a 50% chance at the end of all that it won't work?
You know, sometimes I have to run in a lot of pain and I get pretty tired. But I don't feel any pain when I get support like this. So you're fabulous, and I'd just like to thank you for that.
The support kept growing. News media across Canada began to cover Terry Fox's Marathon of Hope with daily updates of where he was.
Wow.
From stadiums to city centers in the heart of Canada, thousands went out to meet him, and donations towards cancer research began to pour in.
Wow, and it's like this happened so organically too, with him like deciding to do this mission to race across Canada to raise money for cancer research. Unbelievable. And this is back like before the internet. So this really had to be like, people are coming out physically, you know, like actually going out, handing him money physically. Like there's something special about that. And how he's like actually getting to visit these football stadiums and all these crowd events, and people are meeting him on the road. It's very pure.
Terry wasn't running across Canada to become famous or to become rich. He wanted to make a difference in other people's lives.
Yeah.
There was absolutely no question that this was some iconic event that was happening. Talking about cancer publicly was something that really wasn't done very much. He made it okay to talk about cancer. And that was the first most important step to then allow the rest of the population to do what needed to be done to start thinking of raising funds for cancer research.
Researchers across Canada have devoted their lives to learning what cancer is and how to cure it.
We have lots of cells in our body, and what happens with cancer cells is they forget to grow up. They just start dividing and dividing and making more and more of themselves and become a huge lump. And that lump essentially is cancer.
Today, thousands of schools across Canada raise money for cancer research by participating in the Terry Fox Run.
When I say Terry, you say Terry! Terry! It is.
Wow. Well, there you go. I still haven't gotten to the end of this story, or what ultimately ended up happening to Terry. But they're already talking about like the modern day, where they have races in his honor to fund cancer research and like make sure this story lives on in like the upcoming generations of Canada. It's quite beautiful.
So good to see you here, all wearing your Terry Fox shirts. Schools all across Canada, from as far as St. John's, Newfoundland, all the way to Victoria, BC, raise so much money for cancer research in his honor. I'm a cancer survivor of the same cancer that Terry had, called osteosarcoma.
My dad and I were about to go out fishing when he noticed one of my shoulder blades was visibly much larger than the other. That was the night that they told me that I had a form of bone cancer in my right shoulder blade. Terry said that I remember promising myself if I should survive, then I'll prove myself deserving of life. And that was something that I carried into my own journey, that if I should survive, that I will prove myself deserving of life, that I will keep fundraising.
More money equals.
Yeah. I mean, this is not just inspirational for like everybody, but also super like inspirational for a lot of other cancer survivors, I imagine, who also have like this very tangible outlet to like focus and funnel effort into. I don't know if Terry has like a foundation or something, clearly a race.
More research. More research equals more hope. There are so many other Canadians who are dealing with their own battles in cancer, and that's why we need to fundraise to help those people.
There were a couple of nights where I'd woken up feeling pain in my hip. My mom took me to the family doctor after school one day. They transferred us to Sick Kids where they found out that I had leukemia.
One of the most common child cancers is called leukemia, which is a cancer of the white blood cells, the cells that fight infections. Around the time that I was born, only 2% of children with leukemia survived, and now over 90% do.
I started to
Wow. 2% survival rate has gone to 90% survival rate. That is exactly why this kind of stuff is so important.
feel better actually pretty soon. It was only like a year later that I started going back to hockey and running around, and not my
Hockey.
regular self, but much better than I had been.
Terry had a dream of running from one end of Canada to the other. He took a long and winding route through the country and had run over 5,000 kilometers. He was just east of
5,000 kilometers. How many miles is that? I need miles. I'm sorry, I need miles. I don't understand this kilometer stuff. KM to miles. Thank you, Google. 3,000 miles! Unfathomable.
Thunder Bay, Ontario, when things started to change.
Terry knew earlier on that something was wrong. It was very rare for him to want to go and see a doctor. So when they stopped in Thunder Bay, everybody knew that something very serious was happening.
I had noticed a little bit of hardness in breathing near the end of the day, 18 miles.
18 miles, oh yeah. No big deal. After my 18 miles, I felt a little extra tired. Like, this guy is superhuman.
I was coughing and choking and had pain in my neck and my chest. And I did 3 more miles, and I decided I had to go see a doctor. And it was discovered then that originally I had primary cancer in my knee 3.5 years ago. And that the cancer had spread. And now I've got cancer in my lungs. And we got to go home and try and do some more treatment. But all I can say is if there's any way I can get out there again and finish it, I will.
Sad, to say the least.
All I can say is if there's any...
I mean, it's incredible he's getting super emotional, talking about his own mortality here. He's just finding out that the cancer is spread to his lungs. He's in his mind like, I'm gonna finish this thing if I can, but I'm not sure if I can. All that kind of stuff, you know, and he's coming to terms with that while like telling all these reporters and still being as strong as he is right now.
Fly home to Vancouver to undergo more cancer treatment. At 22 years old, Terry became the youngest person ever to be awarded the Order of Canada, an award that recognizes outstanding achievement and dedication to the service of our country.
Terry Fox's courage in embarking on the Marathon of Hope has won him the admiration and affection of Canadians from coast to coast.
9 months later, he would pass away in the hospital.
I've said to people before that I'm going to do my very best to make it. I'm not going to give up, and that's true. But I might not make it. And if I don't make it, the Marathon of Hope better continue.
Right. Exactly. So he did not end up getting an opportunity to complete like the full race across Canada, that the goal he set out, but it doesn't matter. Like what he started, like symbolically, what he created and like the attention he brought to the cause, it was done. He had done that. Like that, nothing was more important than that to him, I think. And the fact that that has lived on and like grown, this whole movement started by him, obviously he would be so happy about that.
Terry reached his goal of raising $24 million. In honor of his legacy, the Terry Fox Foundation was born, with a mission to fundraise for cancer research to ultimately find a cure.
What started as one person back in 1980, just Terry on his Marathon of Hope, has grown to over 8,500 schools and millions of students across the country participating in the Terry Fox Run.
The foundation has raised over $750 million for cancer research in Terry's name.
Wow.
What is the future looking like? Very bright, I would say. I know researchers are getting closer and closer every day to hopefully one day find that ultimate cure.
80% of the children that I treat are cured of cancer.
Wow.
80%. And until this 80% becomes 100%, we will have not achieved what we need to. And that is what cancer research will help us accomplish.
Every September, schools get creative with fundraising and go full swing into promoting their Terry Fox Run.
All the fundraising and the money that goes into it is like going towards cancer research, and it's something worth running for.
I'm thankful for the donors and the schools across Canada that really helped in my journey with cancer and allowed me to be here today.
Every September, schools from Newfoundland to BC and up to Nunavut launch their Terry Fox Run with fundraising goals, following his example of courage, determination, and compassion.
Let's all be like Terry. On the count of 3, repeat after me. I want to fight cancer.
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 1, 2, 3.
It's a good video.
Really, it's up to you guys. The sky is the limit in what you want to do for your fundraising goals. There's several different ways that you guys can fundraise. You can simply collect donations just as
Okay. This end part. Oh, okay. This end part is more about how to use their website and actually like the actual fundraising of it, which is important. I encourage anyone out there absolutely to help with this kind of be like Terry. I like that. The Terry Fox School Run. Yeah. That's absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed this video. Like I said, Terry Fox is just not an individual that is taught or discussed or known in America. You know, it is what it is. It's obviously like, as far as I'm concerned, he's a Canadian legend in my mind. You know what? Just a legend. Scrap, not just a Canadian legend, a legend. After hearing his story, absolutely amazing. I totally get it now. Let me look up Terry Fox. Just so I understand. All this, died 1981. Gosh, for a lot of people, a lot of Canadians, you know, that's only 40 years ago. Lots of Canadians were probably, you know, 10 years old, 20 years old, 30 years old when Terry Fox was doing all this. This is not something that happened like a million years ago. This is probably still very much fresh in the mind of a lot of Canadians, and that's fantastic. And I think, you know, his legacy and what he did here, this is such an amazing story. Even after a million years have gone by, this is still gonna be an amazing story. And still end up helping so many people for this cause. So, yeah, what can you say? This was incredible. And this video was very good as well. This video in particular at explaining it all to me. Also the emotion in it, man. And portraying, like, this feeling. And what this movement created. Fantastic. Okay. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this reaction, feel free to give it a like or leave a comment. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada, Canadian culture, stuff in Canada that I have never seen, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.